Everybody, and welcome back to a new video. Today I'm going to be showing you how to build your very own model airport and the construction of my Airport Terminal 2. So if you're not interested in how to build it, skip to the annotation on the screen and you can just see the end product. Anyway, so let's begin. The first thing you're going to need, let me just quickly jump down, is a piece of wood. The size doesn't really matter, but just use whatever you've got. I had this old piece of wood in the storeroom, so I decided to use that. Use whatever you can. It does have to be quite big if you want a big terminal, as quite a lot of stuff will have to fit on your airport in the end, and it can get a bit tight. Even this is a bit tight for the design I'm going for, so it's going to be down to a few millimeters when I'm done. Anyway, so once you have your piece of wood, you're going to need some other things. First thing you're going to need is a Mod Podge. I recommend a gloss Mod Podge as this works best. This is going to be used to stick the foils to the board and then afterwards to put another coat on the foils to cement them into the board. This is one 250ml jar, and 1 to 2 of these would be enough for your airport depending on the size of your airport. On the left, as you can see, you're also going to need a roller. This just is going to allow you to roll the foils down onto the Mod Podge and stick them completely to the board. A pencil, pen, ruler and scissors. To paint the Mod Podge on the board. You're also going to need a scatter material or turf. This is going to form the grass around the taxiway and runways for your airport. I recommend using 2 different types and mixing them together. This just gives it more color and texture. You don't need this for your airport if you're happy with printing out textures of grass or painting your grass, but I highly recommend it as it adds detail. For the most important thing you're going to need, foils. Cut out, you want to line it all up, and I recommend just making a mark with a pencil on your wood to show that it all does line up. So let me just line this piece on the edge of the board. This is going to be the right hand side runway. So once I've got it all lined up, I'm just going to put a mark where each corner would go. A bit windy outside. Okay, and now I'm going to leave a mark down where it can go as well. And the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to paint a strip where the bottom of it would be. This is the Mod Podge, and we're just going to paint a strip. Okay, so once that's done, we're going to line up the foil along that strip. To make sure it lines up to all our marks. And then we're going to get a piece of towel and just roll the bit we've just stuck on. Okay, and we just give it. Don't worry about creases if there are some, they will come out just now. So now we're going to fold it back over and paint the rest of the area within our marks. This just means when you're putting it down, it's all lined up and it stops air bubbles from forming under the sheet. You want to get all the way right up against to that area where you just were. Give it a good amount of Mod Podge just to make sure that it's going to stick nicely everywhere. So I'll just quickly finish painting and then we're going to fold it over. Try keep the Mod Podge in one direction. As I see, I'm going across the board. This just makes it easier to fold back over and sticks better. Make sure you get all the way along the edge, otherwise you're going to have flapping paper and that's pretty annoying and it doesn't look good. Don't worry, when we flip this over it's not going to be our finished project. This product, it still has to dry and then we still have to put another layer of Mod Podge on top of that. So now that we've done that, we're going to fold it over, pushing from the back to make sure that not too many air bubbles form, and just fold it over. Quick stroke down. As you can see, I missed a bit of Mod Podge there, so I'll just fold that in now. Stick. Fold it down. Now we're going to get our piece of paper towel again, making sure that everything's pressed down. Place it on top and just roll out all the creases, rolling it down onto the board. Just give it a good hard roll. You can't press too hard. The reason you use a paper towel is just to stop the foil from getting scratched, as well as the glue from sticking to your roller. So give it a good roll all the way down and work through the creases, rolling them all out. If you get marks like this, don't worry. There's still going to be another layer of Mod Podge on top, and they won't show when you're finished. So that's the first piece done. I'll just show you one more piece, and then hopefully you will get the idea. So this piece I'm going to overlap on, just so it all connects nicely. Whoop, I just forgot a bit of cutting. Trim that. I'm going to overlap these two pieces so that everything joins up nicely. So to know where I'm going to be, I'm just going to draw a pencil line lightly so I know where to line it up to on my other one. Okay, so line it up again, making sure everything fits perfectly. Then do your corners at the top. I've left this bit of white on because we're just going to overlap it on the other side, so that's not too important. Okay, now we're going to repeat, we're going to do the same thing. So along the bottom where we need to line it up, we're going to go for putting some Mod. Remember to go all the way to both sides. You're going to do, and you're just going to keep repeating this process for all the pieces of your airport until they're all down. So side to side. And again, we're just going to come up. Make sure you line everything you want up. So I want that side to be that side, and you've got to get this bit perfectly. Okay, back on with the roller. Don't worry about the marks between the pages either. It'll leave a little bit of a gap, but that'll also come out later. This is just the first step, so give it a good strong roll, and there we go. Don't worry if it doesn't look too good yet, it'll all come out when we're done. Now I'm going to fold it back around and just do the same thing again to your marks that you've drawn on the board. Same direction again, good thick layer of Mod Podge, just to make sure that everything goes on. All the way back in here, otherwise it's going to form air bubbles. And just get the whole thing. Spreading your Mod Podge in the same direction everywhere. You're just going to repeat this step, as I said, for every other piece of the airport until you're happy with the way it turns out. And then you can move on to the next step, which I'll show you just now. So I'll just finish this last piece and fold it over, making sure put it as tight as you can, and then just spread it out. Make sure you've got it straight like you want it, and then again we're going to just come over with the roller and roll out all the creases. As you can see there, I've just finished rolling out the creases on this one. I already did the runway on the other side, so if we just walk across, I did this about an hour ago. There it is, 27 left. So you can see the finished product after you've done this first step. Don't worry, this isn't what it's going to look like in the end. We're going to do another coat over it, and it's going to gloss it in and merge all the colors. You won't see any of these joins. It'll all look really good. But this is the first step, and you only do the coat on top after you've done every other piece. So I'm going to finish the other runway over here, 27 right, and then I will be right back to show you the next step. Take it down. This is going to be, after this step, we're going to paint Mod on top of the layers, but I'll show you that now. Okay, so same direction, keeping a good even amount spread through. It doesn't matter if you go a bit too much to the top. Okay, and then we're just going to place it down, pull it across, and pull it in. Get our towel again and just pull it all across. Doesn't matter if bubbles like this or lines like this form, they will all go out in time. Give it a roll. Give it all. And that is my last piece done. I'll quickly give you an overview of what I've done. So I've finally finished the modging, and everything is stuck down. I'll quickly jump down and show you my airport, well, how my Terminal 2 is going to be. Let me just move that. So to start off with, I have two runways, 27 left and 27 right, and then I have one main terminal with 10 gates. And here's where the terminal is going to be, and they're all the long haul gates, so this is going to be more of an international terminal. And then over here I just put in 3 cargo terminals, 27 left. I'll give you a quick view. So this is what yours should look like after all the sticking is done. Then there's going to be a huge lawn here which is grass in that area, and then a cargo terminal here, or just a small building there. So the next step is to paint everything with Mod. Do a complete coat, but before you want to do that, you want to fix up all the little mistakes you would have made. So I made a little mistake there, it ripped, so I've just put a patch on that, picks up all your mistakes, because after this we're going to do a couple of layers of Mod, and this is when it's really important that you use gloss Mod Podge. After we've done these layers of Mod, the color will change a little bit like that. So for the next step, as I was saying, we're going to use a gloss Mod Podge, and we're just going to gently paint over. We're going to do a couple of coats, but for the first coat you've got to paint very lightly, otherwise all the ink is going to spread. So you're going to go lightly and don't paint over it too much. If it looks something like this, it's okay. The Mod will dry and become see-through. So you're going to paint your entire airport like this. Remember, paint slowly. It will change color, but it'll dry and go back, so don't worry about that if yours is. But just paint gently, gently, gently to make sure that the ink does not run or spill all over your airport. Really gently, just for the first coat, that is. So I'm going to quickly paint my airport's first coat, and I'll show you what it looks like. Welcome back, everyone. I just finished the first coat. But it's really dark outside now, so I don't think I'll be able to. There's the rest of the airport, and then you can really see it's a bit dark. But here's the first runway we did, and it looks really good now. You can see much better color, and it looks much, much better, especially when we put more coats on. So anyway, now we're going to move on to the grass, so I'll show you how to do that. The thing you want to do to get started on the grass is mix up some green paint. So here's some green paint that's been mixed, and this will just allow so that underneath of the grass we're going to put on, the turf, is not brown and showing. So this isn't too important. We're just going to quickly give this a paint real quick in a green color. Okay. Once you've painted all your grass, which I've just finished doing, it should look something like this. This is what my airport's looking like. And now we can move on to doing the grass itself. So the first thing I've done is I've mixed the two different types of grass together in this bowl, and now we can start to put it onto our green paint. The thing you want to do is you're going to need to use a wood glue or any type of glue, and you just want to spread it along the area in which the grass is going to go. Glue on it should look something like this, and now you're going to spread it with the brush. Painting your glue so it covers the entire area in which you want to grass, and you've got to paint quite fast because it is sticky and will dry. So you want to make sure you get all the area you want to grass, otherwise the grass around that area is not going to stick. So you want to paint it all down. So once you've spread all your glue, we can move on to the next step. When it's all even, make sure you get in all the corners so that the grass or turf is going to stick nicely to the board. Remember, the reason we painted it green was so if there are any spaces, it won't look bad. With the glue, you can just start sprinkling your turf down. Remember, this is the mixture I've used. I'm just using my hand. I'm just trying to evenly sprinkle it to make sure it's not too patchy in some bits. So I'll just finish this lawn and I'll be right back. Spreading it all out. It's still a bit rough and thick, but don't worry, when we're going to give it some time to dry now, and then you're going to tip off all the excess grass, and what's stuck down will be left and it'll look neat. So see you when that's ready. I've just finished with the grass, and all I did after doing it all was brush it off, and now the ground foil is complete. The last thing we need to do is add the buildings and a few details, but I'll just quickly show you the completed foil. I think it looks really good at the moment. Sorry that the light's not great, but this is what it looks like. 27 left. The light is really bad. Then some gates. Coming all the way along with the gate numbers, back to this side, and to 27 right. So that is my completed foil. The next step, add the buildings, add the planes, and then we're good to go. I just marked out my first piece, hopefully you can see it, and now we're going to need a knife to cut. Here's the knife I'm going to be using. It's a craft knife, but depending on what type of wood you're using, you may need to use something different, but this is the knife I'm using. Just finished cutting out my pieces, and now I recommend using a sandpaper just to smooth out the edges. Okay, so I've just finished cutting out all the pieces, and that's going to be for the main terminal, and this is going to be for the cargo terminal. After you cut them out, I recommend building the buildings before you paint them or anything, just to make sure all the pieces fit and you know your building is going to come together. I just recommend using tape just to do a quick job to see what it's going to look like. But then after that, we're going to take it down and put it back into this state so we can move on to the next step. Just stacked up all the pieces I cut out, and now you can finally see what my terminal looks like and what the cargo building looks like. So now you've got to unstack them again once you've checked. So I'll do that so we can paint them and stick on the building foil. Sorry, it's a bit dark. Just taking all the pieces back down. Now we can move on to the next step and start painting and sticking on our foils for the buildings, and then our airport is nearly complete. Once you've printed out the foils, the next step is to line them up. I've already lined them up here. And then we're going to use any type of glue. I've just got a standard glue gun, and we're going to stick it to the paper or board. So I'll show you this. So all I'm just going to do is apply a bit of glue in all the corners where the piece is going to be. I've already cut them and measured them, so they hopefully should all fit. So we're just going to keep adding all the glue, and then when we've got enough down, put this down, get the paper, and just line it up. Any type of glue works, as I said. I just use this because I have it available. And you're just going to glue it down, push it down, spread it out, and then I just turn it around and push down to make sure the glue goes everywhere. So I'll just do this to all the pieces, and I'll show you what to do next. Just finish the foils on both other sides, and now we're going to make the building with the other pieces we're going to use, but these mustn't have the foils on yet. So we're going to join it all up. I'm just going to put a strip down both the sides with some glue and stick the piece to it. Hold that down while I wait for it to dry a little bit. Yeah. Make sure it's all lined up nicely. And then move to the other side, do the same thing. We're just adding glue and then the piece. The reason we're not adding foils to these pieces yet is because there's a little bit of a gap on the thickness of the other piece, but I'll show you that now. And if you add foils to that, they end up being too small, so you just got to wait for this step. So I'll just add some more glue, and I'll wait for these to dry. Oops, I just knocked it over. Just stand it back up. Wait for the glue to dry. And then you can also just put a strip of glue along there. Okay, so when those are dry, you're going to do the same with the other side, and you're going to have your complete building. Okay, so now that my building is all standing, we can move on to these pieces. And the reason you mustn't put your foil on first is because of these bits here that stick out, so it's going to cover all that. So we'll do that, and then the last thing we have to do, add a roof. There we go. So now that I have stuck the terminal all around, next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to add the roof, which are black pieces of wood I've already spray painted out. And then the airport is 99% finished. Just added the roof, and its terminal is finally in its resting place. And there's the cargo terminal. I did it earlier, I don't know if you can see it, but there it is. And there's the main terminal. So the last thing to do is add the air bridges and add a few more details to the terminal, and then we are done. Welcome back to the final little bit. I've just set up a few random planes, and I'd just like to quickly give you an overview of what my airport looks like now that it's done. I've just set up a few planes now here and there. Sorry, the lighting's not good. Just going to be a quick overview of what everything looks like. So as you can see, I've just added the jetways. There's two nice A380s there and a few JCs around, but this is what the airport finally looks like. So I'll start off with the 10 gates for passenger planes, starting off with B1. B1 doesn't have a jetway, it's the only one that doesn't have a jetway, so they're just getting off with the air stairs. B2, that's what it looks like. B3, B4, B5 on the corner for A380s, B6 also on the other corner for an A380, B7, B8, B9, and then B10. So at the moment I haven't put all my planes on because they wouldn't all be able to fit, but I'm going to be doing a video on next week Friday, so Friday the 27th, of both the terminals together. I almost forgot to say C3, C2 and C1 for cargo planes. So you can see that plane's just about to start unloading cargo, and there's the cargo terminal. And this is just the layover spot, so this plane's waiting for its departure later in the day. Sorry about the light, it really sucks. But this is what my airport finally looks like now that's all done. I really hope you enjoy.